Good morning, Sylvia, and good morning and good wishes to our faculty members for watching this video. Now, we both are going to discuss something about cognitive behavioral modification. These are like therapies which are used for the clients to come out of their problems. The next slide, please. This cognitive behavioral modification is a method of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, that aims to change negative self talk into positive ones. Because when a client enters our room, when he or she comes with so much of problem, they'll have much of those negative things coming out of their talk. We have to change this modification. This therapy aims to change those negative self talk into positive ones. I've seen like students entering our place when they want a counseling from us. When they begin to talk, they'll have all those negative self things coming out of that. Moreover, I could really see overthinking about the problems used to come out. So this method aims to change all those negative self talk into positive one. And in the next slide, we are going to see how it works, how this CBT works. The first thing is we have to identify those negative thoughts and then challenge those negative thoughts. Then replace those negative thoughts with the positive ones. Then change their behavior and then maintaining the progress. Maintaining the progress is the most important thing. First, we'll see what is identifying those negative thoughts. For the psychoeducational workshop, for example, I went to a school to counsel the students, and after this meeting, the principal, she wants to talk with me, and she told me that there are certain high secondary boys who are like affected with drug addiction. They can't come out of it. They can't study properly, and they are facing certain issues because of those boys. And like three or four boys, they just enter our room to talk with us. So I just identified those negative thoughts. I was like, in the beginning, as usual, I have done with the rapport building, and then I just collected the data. During collection of data, and then when I was addressing about and when I was addressing them about the problem, many negative thoughts just came in. I recognized it. And the next thing is I just challenged those negative thoughts, because not most of those negative thoughts are true. They are because of their overthinking. For example, when I asked them, why do you take those drugs? They're saying that I'm not happy at home. Neither I'm not happy at the class. I asked them, why aren't you happy at home? They told me that my parents are always fighting. And when I see my dad beat my mom, it affects me so much. And it's all happening before my eyes, and I can't handle that. And when I come to class, my teachers are scolding me for getting lower marks, and thus there is no happiness for me. I want to take drugs. And then I just told them, replace all those negative thoughts with a positive one. When you stop using these drugs, you will get a healthy lifestyle. And I asked them one question: when you take this drug, will your parents stop fighting? He told no. Then why do you waste your life? When you get good marks, I think your parents also will be happy. Their problems might also be solved. I asked them, what is the problem for your parents? The one of the problem is he's not studying well. I told them, when you stop your drugs and when you start studying, you can replace your negative thoughts with a positive one. Maybe your parents' fight will end. And then a change in their behavior. I told them to change their behavior. I asked them not to have contact with the friends who are using drugs, and stop going to the places where they could get the drugs for the initial of 1 month, and then they'll get used to it. And the final thing is maintaining the progress. I asked them to come to school, to do exercises in the morning, to involve themselves in the sports, or to go to gym, to maintain the progress of how to identify and how to challenge and replace those negative thoughts and to change their behavior. In the next slide, we are going to see what are the benefits of cognitive behavioral modification. These CBM can help treat a variety of mental health issues, including anxiety, depression, OCD, ADHD, and substance misuse. We have seen the example as substance misuse before. CBM can help people learn practical self-help strategies. These are called the practical self-help strategies. That is, changing the negative habits, changing the negative thought pattern into a positive thought pattern, so that when a negative thought pattern comes, we'll just train them how to change those negative thought patterns, how to change their behavior, and how to modify their behavior, everything, so that they need, when a problem occurs for the next time, the people are not forced to go to the teacher or friend or a therapist or anyone. Then CBN can help people create a new and a positive thought pattern. These are all the benefits of CBN. Fine. There are certain techniques where Sylvia would continue.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine. So we're looking at the theorist who introduced cognitive behavior modification. That was Dr. Donald Meschenbaum. Dr. Donald Meschenbaum is an American psychologist and professor emeritus of psychology at the University of Waterloo, Ontario. He is considered to be one of the founders of cognitive behavior therapy and known for his research or publication on psychotherapy. He was born and raised in New York City, where he frequently observed people on the streets talking to themselves. So, building on Albert Ellis's REBT and Adam Beck's cognitive therapy, Aschenbaum developed cognitive behavior modification. So, in this, his focus is on a client's self statement or self talk. So, as a prerequisite to behavior change, the client must notice how they think, they feel, and behave, and what impact they have on others. So, the basic assumption here is that distressing emotions are typically the result of maladaptive thoughts. So, what is used is self instructional training because this is based on the assumption that the things people say to themselves also determine what they do. And they're influenced by physiological responses, effective reactions, their cognitions, and the relationships that they share with others. So, what will be the role of a therapist in cognitive behavior modification? The therapist acts as a guide and educator, helping the client to identify and challenge their negative thought patterns. Then they help them to understand how these thoughts influence their emotions and behavior, and also teach them to some coping strategies so that they can manage their difficult situations. So they teach them new skills to replace the unhelpful ones, finally empowering the client himself to become self-reliant and manage their own mental health in a very effective manner. Now, cognitive behavior modification is a little more different from the other therapies because the therapist teaches a client to change their way of thinking. It is less direct than REBT and basically very much relying on self instructional training, wherein this client becomes more self aware of their self talk. So, we now go on to looking at the counseling techniques, and over to you, Catherine.
There are many counseling techniques that are used for this CBM, cognitive behavioral modification, and one such is called exposure therapy. It is also called graded exposure, and in other sense, it is called systematic desensitization. Okay, it is called systematic desensitization because when a client comes inside the room, he'll be very sensitive. He or she will be very sensitive towards the problem. Here, the thing that we are going to do is we'll be systematically desensitizing them. Fine. On a ladder of 3 to 10, here is the problem that we are going to see is a level of anxiety being controlled by the CBM method. For example, when a client has the fear of spider, for in a lower grade, like in the point 3, it'll have imagine the spider crawling on the floor. When they see a spider crawling on the floor, they'll feel yuck and they don't want to touch it. And sometimes fear might have handled even for little children. When they see spider, they'll always call mommy, Spider-Man has come, Spider-Man has come, and we have to go and we have to go them and then like push it away. And then on the ladder of next for the 3, looking at the picture of a spider. When they see the picture of a spider in a paper or in a TV, they'll be like looking at it and then they'll be like gazing at it. And the next step is watching a video of the spider. when they watch the video of the spider, they'll describe how the spider will be. Sometimes they'll say it is not poisonous. If it comes in your hand also, it is not poisonous. By hearing all such things, by watching those videos, some of their anxiety might be lowered. And then when they see a spider on the wall, they'll not shout as usual. They'll keep calm, so that their anxiety level is a little bit lowered now. And then on the ladder of the number 6, when they see their friend touching a spider, when a human being or friend of the same age touching the spider, they'll think that, oh, it's not a problem. It's not poisonous. When my friend can touch it, why can't I? Why can't I give a try? And then on a point 8, they could see watching a spider crawling towards you. So when it crawls towards you, their anxiety level will be a little bit lower than before, because more before and all, when they just see it on the far, they shout. But now, after watching a video, having a picture of it, and seeing their friend touching the spider, they'll be like calmly watching it. Then when they see a spider on their shoes, or in their comb, or in their bag, or in their box, they'll be just brushing it out. And on the final step, when they hold a spider in a hand, they'll see to it that it is not poisonous. It will not harm me. I'm not supposed to scream, or I'm not supposed to create any tantrums on seeing those spiders. So this therapy, so this technique is called graded exposure therapy, or systematic desensitization. Over to Sylvia.
So now we look at some more techniques in under cognitive behavior modification: self-instructional techniques, stress inoculation techniques, self-management technique, problem-solving technique. You look at them one by one. So stress inoculation techniques are tailored to individuals and their specific stresses. For stresses that can be directly addressed, skills will focus on influencing the identified stresses. For uncontrollable stresses, the focus will be on building skills to shift your related thoughts and behaviors. How does this work? Basically, it works in 3 phases, and each phase is customized to meet the individual's need and will account for the stresses that they're dealing with. So the first stage is called the conceptual stage. And here the therapist educates the client about the nature and impact of stress. The client is taught how to view perceived threats as a problem to be solved and to break the big stresses down into smaller, manageable ones. This allows the client to think differently about the problem. When it comes to the skills acquisition phase, the client is taught coping skills, which are practiced initially in the clinic, then gradually they are rehearsed in real life. These include positive thinking, relaxation, methods of attention diversion, using social support, and time management. These are cognitive because they teach new ways of thinking and learning new behaviors. Finally comes the application phase. The client uses their new coping skills in different situations that become increasingly stressful. Techniques like imagery, modeling, role playing are used. Then the client is asked to train others. So this technique becomes very firm in their minds. The next we look at is self-instructional training. In a therapy setting, self-instructional training is given so that the client controls their behavior through guided self-talk, and then it becomes a self-generated talk. So, for example, if a child has to be taught something and to be instructed to do it by themselves, the adult will first perform the task while speaking to the child. Then the child will perform the task with the adult guiding him. The third will be the child will then perform the task on their own and he will verbalize what he is saying, speak it out loud. Then the child will perform his own task while whispering to himself. So that's a self guidance. So with this, the child is then taught how to instruct himself on his own while he has to perform the task independently. The next technique is called self-management technique. Now, people who are dissatisfied with a certain aspect of their life, like if they're smoking too much, or they're exercising too little, or they have anger control issues, So they need to use self-control or self-management strategies. So basically what is done is the person uses self-observation, self-instruction, self-praise, self-reward, and even at times self-management. This will help them to bring about the desirable changes in their behavior. So the goal of self-management technique is to reduce their behavioral deficiencies or any excesses and to manage their issues. Then we look at the problem solving technique. Problem solving is a very handy tool and it can be become a skill and a process to help a person to solve their problems and to achieve a goal. So how is that done? It has two distinct phases. The first one is we define the problem. And then the second phase is it involves in analyzing the problem, setting a goal. Then we brainstorm for alternative solutions. What are the different solutions that one could have in solving the problem to achieve the goal? And then you choose one of the solutions, which is the best for you. With that, you make an action plan. You make a decision. Okay, this is the solution, and this is the plan that I'm going to now adopt for my problem. Finally, you need to implement the solution and you need to choose that, and you can use an enjoyable activity, something that will make the problem now enjoyable to you. So as we look at cognitive behavior modification, we see it has many advantages. It's very practical, it has an effective approach. We can address a wide range of mental health issues. The individual is taught to identify and challenge the negative thought patterns, and you can provide concrete coping mechanism because a person becomes self-aware and it enables them relatively quick symptom relief compared to other therapies, making it a very good tool to manage things like anxiety, depression, and other mental health concerns. So we come to our end of our uh, video, and we thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you, Catherine, for joining me. Bye.
Thank you, Sylvia, and thank you so much.